me? Recording in progress, Sarah. They just advised me, right? So if you don't understand something, I say some words that are specific, like ayahuasca, rapé, sacred piping, you can put on the chat, Tabata, please explain more, okay? Because there's one Brazilian with lots of English speakers here. And that's it, Sarah. I think
you're doing great.
Thank you. I think we can start talking about mental health, as Nikki asked, and then we answer the specific questions. It's here.
Great. Okay. Did you want to start first with a specific topic with mental health?
I really would like to hear you about this, because I'm very impressed with your work, because I work as well with integrative holistic health. In psychology, for example, we talk about mental health, and it's all about mental health, psychiatry, and brain, and behavior. But for us to understand mental health, we have to understand even physical health. So everything, it's in a big net.
Yes, I agree. And when I usually work with people, and just to rewind, again, my name is Sarah, as most of you know, with Let's Talk with Sarah. And when I am working with clients, I do use intuitive and practical techniques to get to the bottom of root causes of disease or disorder. And when I do that, typically that's going to surround more than just one thing. It's not just about the one problem that's there. It could be something about physical. It could be something that is oftentimes related to weight management or just overall feeling of health. But that can affect your mental health, your spiritual health, your finances, even your relationships. Those things can also affect our physical health. So we know when we're not feeling our best, it can manifest physically. We know that if mentally we're feeling blue, it can manifest with stiff shoulders or a headache or fatigue. Oftentimes I see people with bloating or inflammation, and they're not even understanding why. These are just physical manifestations of something that we can't see. It's a mental or energetic or emotional blockage that could be manifesting in our bodies. So oftentimes that's going to look different for different people. How that shows up looks different for different people. And how we resolve those, of course, is different for everybody, because not everything is one size fit all. I believe, like Tabata, with holistic wellness is coming back to the roots of who we are individually and what works for our bodies. A lot of times that's going to be more of what I consider a plant-based diet or a holistic diet. Just energetically, those things are more in resonance with our own bodies, created of the earth. Plant food or lean protein, even if it's meat, it could be a lean meat. Not saying don't eat meat, that's for sure, because I used to as well. But different types of what we call clean eating, something that is unprocessed, more natural from the way it's coming from the earth, is going to align with our physical bodies a little bit better, reduce those possible side effects of inflammation and fatigue and where those illnesses are showing up in our body. That's one way physically to address those things, but by ingesting them and eating or drinking. But as Kia would also talk about with the herbal teas or smoke blends, smoking a blend that is specifically intentionally created with purposes of connecting to ancestral roots or um, spiritual practices is another way of being in alignment with our spiritual wellness and our mental wellness by using a plant in that way. And I know Tabata uses her sacred pipe. So
Yes.
that's awesome. That is one delivery method of your plant. And that's something that you're using, you said, with tobacco as well, sacred tobacco.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more how the sacred tobacco helps promote like spiritual and mental wellness?
Perfect. It's a plant medicine, right? It's very funny to say that because there's lots of people that thinks tobacco it's only in cigars, like commercial cigars, and they don't even know that tobacco is a plant, right? Because these commercial industrial cigars does much damage to your health, right? Because
Yes.
you swallow the smoke as well. There's lots of things. There's poison in it. There's a lot of bad things in cigars. What we're
Mhm.
saying here, it's organic tobacco, the leaf of tobacco, the tobacco leaf. I have here, right? I can show it to you. It's like an herbal blend. It's tobacco leaf, pure tobacco leaf. I don't know if you can see it. It's like this. And I like tobacco. And our second event will be all about sacred pipe, not only with tobacco, but with herbal blends too.
I'm looking forward to that. February
And
12th.
yes, and tobacco is very ancestral. You can easily see like indigenous people with sacred piping and most with tobacco. Tobacco is like a communication with the high above, with all that you consider sacred outside yourself. It's like the messenger. The smoke uh, um, puts the message through air until these sacred beings. And it's very good for thinking, for clear thoughts. Sometimes when you have your head full of things like anxiety.
Mm.
In psychiatry and psychology, we call anxiety symptoms. So when you smoke, your physical body, uh, it gets slow. With cigars too, the cigars have this feeling too. But with sacred pipe, you don't swallow the smoke, and that's it. That when becomes sacred because we believe in ancestral way of seeing tobacco. That tobacco has a spirit. We call a spirit of tobacco, grandfather tobacco. So if you swallow, it's like you arresting the tobacco spirit. So you get sick because all plant medicine, when we are talking about consciousness expansion, they want to be respected. So if you does not respect them, there's a price to pay. But if you use tobacco in a sacred form, it helps a lot with mental health as well. So Nikki, there's a little bit of an explanation about mental health and plant medicine. Sacred pipe and tobacco are one tool to help you with your mental health because it helps with these mixed thoughts you have. But when you sit, you pray for your pipe, your sacred pipe, and you start to think and to pipe because you don't swallow, it's not smoking, it's piping. All
Gotcha.
your thoughts, I feel that goes in line. You expand your consciousness, you see things outside of yourself. That's more or less what expanded conscience do. You see yourself outside yourself. So you can see your problems, the trouble, your anxiety, your depression from outside in a big picture. And then you can decide, and then you can think about more clearly.
It's like taking a moment to be mindful and meditate almost. Meditation. It's a form of meditation.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
it's an active meditation,
Yes,
so
I
to
see.
speak. But
I love
talking
that.
about talking about mental health and holistic mental health, right? You have to be connected with your body. That's what Sarah was talking, right? So when you talk about helping mental health, helping our balance our mental health, you have to know what you're feeling. If you're feeling blue, if you're feeling depressed, maybe I have the names of the herbs in English here to help me. Rosemary. Rosemary is great for that extra push, for giving us more mental clarity and
I love
more
that.
happiness. But if you're
Yes.
feeling anxiety, if you're feeling all over the place, your body's hot, you don't know what to do first, maybe some chamomile will help. So there's no cake recipe. Here in Brazil, we have this expression cake recipe. There's no recipe for mental health. You have to be connected with your body, what your body needs, what your body wants, what your body is saying to you. Our body is very, very smart.
You're right.
No.
Our bodies are smart. They have ways of communicating with us, and we just have to tap in and listen sometimes. And I love how you said with the those plant medicine desires respect when you're working with it. If you are respecting the plant, you're also taking a time to respect yourself and listen to yourself, listen to your body, and kind of like we say, tap in. You're tapping in to listen to that little voice in you is telling you, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm overworked, whatever. You know, you're actually taking that mindful moment to listen to yourself, listen to that connection. Like you said, the smoke is carrying the messages, which I thought was beautiful. That's that time for you to connect with spirit too. And that's spiritual care. That's your spiritual practices. That's your spirit care of, people say, oh, I don't know how to do spiritual care or I don't know how to do self care. This is one way to do that by sitting with a mindful moment and enjoying plant medicine of chamomile tea. That's a plant medicine. The rosemary. Some people actually will burn rosemary for cleansing. That's a process of spiritual care. You're connecting with that smoke. You're connecting with the properties of the plant, the energy that is in the plant from its growth, through the sun and the moon and the stars that was growing over that were existing over that planet as it was growing. You're experiencing all of that when you're being mindful and not just using that processed plant like with like the processed cigars or the tobacco that we see commercially that gets people sick. They're abusing that product. And I'll admit, when I was younger, I definitely was abusing tobacco. That was something that was cool, you know? And you can definitely get sick, though. I remember feeling nauseous because I was not being mindful and using that product. So I appreciate that. Does anybody else have any other thoughts or questions that they need to type up in the chat? I know we had some people that are just joining us. Just as a reminder, we are having our question and answer event. All of the questions can be placed in the chat so we can discuss at the end. And hopefully that won't be anytime soon. Anything
There,
else you wanted to cover, Tabata?
yes, there's one thing as you were talking, I was connecting with a concept. I just put a name on it to explain that it's spiritual minimalism. So when you're talking about having a sacred pipe, and then you relax, you put a moment, you are mindful, and you are praying your tobacco. That's how we say it. We are praying our pipe. We are not smoking a pipe. We are praying a pipe. Uh, you don't have to do all the shenanigans. That's beautiful. I have a candle here. I have smoke, sacred smoke here. But if I didn't had, I would have myself. I would have my intentions. I would have my divine. So that's spiritual minimalism. You don't have to be to have the all all of the sacred images. You can have that. That's no problem. That's what minimalism is about. There's no problem in having, but you can do it without it. You can do it with your divine. You are part of the divine. So when I say you connect with the outside divine, it's because you connected with your inside first. So your divine outside, it's wherever you feel comfortable believing, connecting, right? So that's why I think shamanism, ancestral knowledge, for me, they are both like the same. Shamanism, it's so beautiful because it gives you the power of connecting with your beliefs with tools. I can connect with many divine beings with my sacred pipe. But I think the most important that is that you are connected with your sacred being, and that's health as well. We are talking about spirituality, but we are spiritual beings as well. So if we treat ourselves as a divine being, it's a sacred being that deserves health, that's the first step.
I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah, because we're spiritual beings, and but we're in as someone I know likes to say, we're in our little meat suit. We're walking this planet. There's so many things that we will have to consider as far as what our wellness is, and not just thinking it's a diet or thinking it's I don't like the mindset of saying I have to avoid certain things or I can't do certain things or I shouldn't eat certain things. I think it's more of what does my body need? What does my body want? What does my spirit crave? What does, what does that moment of being with the spirit look like for me? Not just lighting the candle and having the smoke or doing certain things are beautiful and they have their place, but they're not necessary when you are just listening internally. I love that. We did have some more questions that came up in the chat, and
Yes.
I copied them down if you need help with
Okay.
that.
Certain asked about preparing sacred plants for spiritual use. Well, uh, I would go with spiritual minimalism as well because I like to empower people to use plant medicine as they wish. So you can prepare with your space to manipulate the plant medicine which way you like. But you can buy a chamomile tea in the market, and it will be sacred too if you put your intention to it. If you stop a moment in your day, okay, I will drink this chamomile tea because I need. So you give thanks to the plant. Yes, every tea I drink, I give thanks to the plants I am ingesting because they have knowledge and they have power to treat me. So I think respecting plant medicine, preparing plant medicine is just like it. It's to understand that we humans are not bigger and better than any other living creature, or like plant medicine have a knowledge we don't have. Otherwise, we wouldn't be using them. So respect the knowledge they have, and they will respect you as well. And it's already sacred. I will, so certain sense. Do you know them? Sacred is ready for use. How do you know? It's important. So I talked about chamomile tea from market, but for my personal use, I think it's better to buy as more organic and handcraft as possible. That it's a pity Kia isn't here, because she's is an herbalist. She sells herbal blends. So it's different, right? To buy a chamomile tea from the market, to buy from Kia. It's different. That has a different energy. It was made for being sacred. But if you doesn't have a Kia's blend in your house, you can use from your garden. You have the power to make it sacred for you, because every plant is sacred. When you say plant medicine, it's not a specific plant. All plants are medicinal, right? Nikki sends another question.
And Tabata, that's something that I laughed about, because when we were preparing for this event, I said so many people, or so many people asked me, "What is plant medicine? What are you doing? Are you going to do ayahuasca?" That's the first thing they said. I said, "It's not just ayahuasca. That's not the only plant medicine." People have a very narrow vision, but it's so broad. So many different choices. You're right.
If you want to ask some questions, Sarah, I'd be very glad to hear you as well, to hear your thoughts, to learn from you.
Oh, let me see if I could go through some of the questions.
There's Nikki sent a question after certain.
These are really good questions. These are really, really great questions. Some of them I'm gonna have to think maybe Tabata would be an expert to answer.
Okay, because
just because it's specifically for certain types of mental health.
Yes.
And I'm not an expert in that area.
Okay, Nikki, that's a very specific question. So first, I would advise to have, when you say multiple personalities, I don't know if was diagnosed, because I think it's very tricky when you try to self-diagnose. But if it is already a medical diagnosis, we have multiple ways to treat it, to balance this. But my first feeling was about cleaning, energetic cleaning, because when you are energetically strong, energetically balanced, it's more difficult to receive obsessors, inside obsessors or outside obsessors. We have inside obsessors, just like you mentioned, multiple personalities. There are lots of you inside you, maybe fighting to have this, to have the power over the situations. So when you get your body balanced, it's difficult to have this internal fight. But maybe talking about herbs, you asked specifically, basil, it's a very good herb to harmonize, to balance, but there's another herb. I will say here what's the name in English. Sage. Sage, it's a beautiful plant to balance all our bodies, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body. So if you put your attention in your intention to balance yourself or this person, but the person must to need. There's the point. We can't save anyone. The person have to be open. So plants that balance our spiritual being will be great to give this multiple personality balance, right? So that's another good. Afia has a question. No. Plant medicine for teens. Well, Sarah?
That one is a tricky subject.
Yes.
Only because of legal restrictions, I believe, and societal restrictions where you live. You know, we have to consider what type of products they're using, if they're considered legal or legal, by certain standards, or illegal for use. But most of the herbal products that we are going to suggest for cleansing and spiritual wellness and physical wellness are going to be herbs that anybody can use. Anybody can eat or cook with or make teas with these types of plants and herbs. Smoking is, as we know, if you're smoking, you're ingesting the smoke. So when Tabata was talking earlier about having the sacred moment with that tobacco and having a spiritual energetic cleansing, we weren't really ingesting the smoke. So we have to determine what kind of benefits are going to be for a teen or young adult, considering, and weigh that against any risk. I would say personally, depending on the age of the child, obviously like high teens, where they are old enough to understand the consequences and understand the things that are going to come with that, would be a personal decision between the authority, their adult, their guardian, and that child. But to try to make the process, if you choose to do that, I'm not suggesting anybody should, but if you choose to allow your teen or young adult to smoke an herb, it's going to be something that to try to be as clean as possible. Reduce the amount of added gunk that you have coming into the smoke. So, but like I said, it's definitely something that family needs to discuss and decide if that is something safe, if the benefits outweigh the risk, and if that should be something that is done over other forms of delivery. A tea, an herbal infusion tea, or a tincture, or a salve. Those are other delivery methods that we can use for plant medicine that don't have to involve smoking. And that could be better for a younger body.
Perfect. I feel the same. I would just suggest maybe herbal teas, herbal baths. I don't know if it's common for you to listen to this, an herbal bath for your body. It's like a tea, but you do in a pot in a larger proportion, and then you have your usual bath, and then you pour in your body this herbal blend, and you wash your spiritual, your energetic being with this herbal blend. It's very, very powerful. So there's other ways than smoking for teens, but it's not forbidden in a sacred, in an ancestral way of saying, but it's very tricky, as Sarah said. So Sutton did make another question.
Okay.
My favorite herbs and plants to use. Well, I'm a chamomile fan for everything. Always have chamomile near me because for my personality, because of my body needs, sometimes I get like very accelerated. I don't know if it is, you understand? Like
Yes,
very, very
yes,
fast, my thoughts.
yeah.
That's why I use sacred pipe as well to calm down
Calm
my,
down.
to calm down. And it's beautiful. For smoking, I like sage. I put say a blend with sage,
Mm.
calendula, chamomile. Every herb you can swallow, you can put in the sacred pipe. There's herbs you can't make a tea, you can't blend a tea. So you can't use as well to pipe. Okay? That's the that's the thing. That's the mystery about piping. Basil and sage together, amazing experience. Yes. Yes, baby. I agree with you.
I know that a lot of Kia's herbal blends will include mullein. Mullein is, I think, a good expectorant too to help cleanse your lungs. So that was something I was enjoying with the blends that she has. She also, just because it's cute and I like it, when she adds roses. It looks so pretty, but I love the energy of the rose as well. It wouldn't be something that I add in a large quantity personally, but it's just something nice to add to.
Sarah, I have a question for you
Yeah.
about eating plant medicine in our day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
How do you suggest we to do it? Like putting in the food or drinking tea? How do you normally suggest?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is a common question. So thank you for asking. Because I think that we all struggle with trying to find a good balance. Everybody says eat all your vegetables and eat all your fruits and vegetables, but not everybody loves fruits and vegetables. And to me, I have a heavy plant-based diet, so that's what I eat all the time. So I think that ways we can sneak in our plants and veggies. One, my favorite trick is blending and chopping, blending it up into a smoothie. That is my favorite. I can just throw about a whole bunch of stuff in there. Um, Bananas, apples, strawberries, blueberries, spinach, kale, turmeric. We can add seasonings to our smoothies. Um, Goodness, coconut milk is even a plant. We can cook with coconut milk. It's a great flavor. It's a good way to get protein, a good healthy fat. There are ways to add in more plants into our meals. I know we touched on the herbal teas, of course, because there's so many different kinds. Like Tabata mentioned, anything that you can eat, you can smoke. Well, just about anything that you can chop and cook with, or if you think about it in your kitchen, it could be something that you may be able to infuse in a tea to receive that same healing quality that you're going to receive if you ate it in a different way. So they're definitely my favorite ways is trying to hide it. Try to just add it and hide it in there. My children used to love when I would make meatloaf and I would puree onions, carrots, celery, and peppers, and then mix it into the meat to season it. They can't taste all those vegetables, but we just seasoned all of that meat with fresh plant that can deliver the same kind of benefits. If you were eating a whole carrot, there's a little bit of breakdown in the fiber that you're going to receive if it was whole. Overall, you're still receiving the same benefits when you're sneaking it in different ways. We have any other questions in there? Oh, I see Shay likes coconut. I love coconut. Coconut milk ice cream is probably my favorite.
As you were saying, I was thinking about how holistic health is important, as we were saying, to listen to your body, because you can smudge sage into pipe as much as you want, but if you don't look to your overall health, it won't be a miracle. It won't be a miracle. You can clean your spiritual body with spiritual baths. Thank you. Someone said to me, spiritual baths.
Yes.
You can take a spiritual bath every day, but if you don't have self-knowledge, if you in a job you hate, if you're in relationship, toxic relationships, no spiritual bath will save you. You have to save yourself. They are tools to help you. They won't save you. That's a very important thing to have in mind when you are talking about having a spiritual tool. It won't save you. It's not the tobacco, it's not the sage, it's you.
That's right. I love that. And I think that's like the overall concept we need to take away as, it's not just about the extras here and there. We can do these little things, but overall, we have to be in alignment with what is true to our nature and true to what we need, and not just rely on the extra. We are the divine. We are the connection. We are the
Yes.
source, and we have to stay in alignment with that and use our tools to
Yes.
help keep that alignment strong. Help keep us well physically, mentally, emotionally. Use our tools to keep us overall healthy.
Perfect. And there's some food, I don't know, some specific diet you recommend for a person that comes with a mental health problem issue. Like the first issue is mental health. So the person comes to you. What do you say?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think honestly, I'm going to go to what I call clean eating. And clean eating is more of natural, the way it just grows on the earth, not processed. Removing or reducing as much as possible of the processed foods. Because we don't realize that, like I said, our bodies are from the earth. We're going to resonate with the earth a little bit differently than things that are chemical or man made. So when we're ingesting those processed foods, our bodies will react differently. And more common than not, we have these things that are going on in our body and we don't even recognize that it could be from the processed foods we're eating. There's inflammation that happens, and I didn't even realize I was having the inflammation signs in myself, but insomnia, um, stomach issues like upset stomach, acid reflux, indigestion, problems with going to the bathroom. All of those are physical things that we are eating a diet that could be affecting us overall. Those things can also screw with our brain. We're not going to be able to sleep very well. We are not going to have healthy relationships if we can't physically sleep, or our moods are all over the place because we have sugar or processed foods. Those things are going to show up mentally as well. And I think that reducing those processed foods and just trying to stick with what is more natural out of the earth and more of what your body is calling for you. You might not want to eat salads every day. Yeah, that comes from the earth, but you might not want to eat a green salad every day. You might want to eat potatoes every day. You might want to eat other fruits and vegetables. That's what your body is calling for of the earth. And I think that will also help us clear the fog in our mind, clear the inflammation and the stuff that gets into our mind that has been entered into our bodies with processed foods.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, let me see. What do we got here? See if we have any more questions to answer before we go, because we are actually getting close to 5 o'clock.
Yes, certain vitamin D deficiency
Vitamin D.
affects our emotions, and it gives in some cases depression symptoms.
That's right.
So
I've seen that, yeah.
yes, it's important to see a physical body doctor once in a while to see these kind of things. Because if you go to a psychologist or a holistic therapist and you say, I have depression symptoms, we can help in an emotional, in a mental way. But in your body, if you empower and you balance your physical body, your process will be easier, even if it is emotional as well.
I agree. There's a lot of great questions that we had and a lot of great discussion on the chat too. So this is awesome. I'm excited for everybody that came today and joined our conversation. I think we had real progress, really great discussions. How do you all feel? I haven't heard anybody. Do we have anybody who wants to come off of mute and say anything about a question or anything that they've heard during our talk? Don't be shy. You know, we won't bite unless you ask. Going
Hey, it's
once.
Courtney. I just wanted to come in really quick and say you did amazing, the both of you. I learned so much, but unfortunately, I didn't have a pen and paper to take notes. So I would really love to listen again because I have so many questions and I learned a lot. But thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Courtney. We love you. We appreciate you. Anybody else? All right, so I think Tabata's scanning the chat for any other questions we may have missed. I also will drop the link for Kia's website to check out her teas and smoke blends. That is Morefya, MOREFYA.com. Drop that in the chat.
That's a question about a specific plant medicine that it's hape. Sarah, are you familiar with hape?
I'm not.
Okay.
That one's new to me.
I have here, and I'll show it to you. It's like a powder, right?
Oh.
And you put in your nose with that. So, or someone applies on your nose. And it's indigenous plant medicine, very common here in Brazil with Brazilian shamanism. And it gives lots of benefits, even for your nose and all this lung health and this kind of thing. So Rosa asked about different ways of using rapé. Every indigenous rapé is sacred, but every tribe blends it different. There are some blends that we don't even know. It's a secret. You only have access to the blends like this. You don't know which herbs are inside, but the base is always tobacco, smashed tobacco turned into powder. So if you use it in a sacred way, it will always help you. As we are talking about tea, herbs tea, and Rosa, if you want to talk about it before, after our meeting, because it's very specific. I think in United States, people are not familiar with rapé. We can talk more about after the meeting. I will put here my email in the chat. So if you have any specific question, if you want to talk with me later, you can reach me and by Instagram or email, right?
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay, everybody, we are getting close to the end of our discussion. It has been a lovely time. I appreciate everybody who's joined us. And I have recorded this discussion, so that'll be saved for anybody who needs to go back and listen. Remember that we do have a Sacred Pipe event that will be held on February 12th. I think that's also a Saturday. It will be 4 p.m. Eastern. That is a paid event, but it is very, very special. If you have enjoyed this discussion, trust me, you do not want to miss out on this February 12th event. So please head over to sarahfoster.biz where you have RSVP'd for today and you can get the information for our next event. So before
Yes,
we go
yes, I'll
ahead.
talk a little about the event because I'm very
Yes,
excited about it.
yes.
That was this event. Will it's the main goal about all this. We created this event today to introduce a bit, to help you understand about holistic health, about ancestral mental health, and all these combined experiences. So the second event will be all about sacred piping. So if you feel the call about the sacred pipe, I talked about a little here, but our other event will be a 2-hour event, and I will be chatting um, in a profound way about sacred piping, history, medicinal use, and I will help you to have at home. So you will be able to do sacred pipe ceremonies for yourself, to use it as a tool for your mental, spiritual health. Will be very, very beautiful.
That is a beautiful opportunity. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And Kia has made a specific blend for that event. So if you all are intending to visit with us during that event, please go over to her website. I've dropped it in the chat. You can get that blend and it will arrive to you before the February 12th event. So don't miss out on that. Final questions, comments, or anything else we want to talk about? No? Going once? Going twice? Sold. We love you guys. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much for your time. And I will look forward to seeing you guys later. Bye.
Bye, guys. It was a pleasure and an honor to share with you some thoughts.